We're here meeting with Barbra Bronstein, the founder and president of Second Servings of Houston. Thank you so much for joining us, Barbra. If you wanted to give a little bit of an introduction about yourself and your work for the hackers today.
I'm excited to be here, and thank you for inviting me. Second Servings of Houston is Houston's only perishable food rescue organization. We pick up and deliver surplus food to people in need through 140 different nonprofits.
First thing we are really interested in getting your perspective on is based on the work that you do and your own expertise on this. Can you talk a little bit about how large and complex the problem of food deserts are in the Houston area, and what do you think is a main cause for this problem existing?
It is a large and complex problem everywhere in every food desert, because the access, physical, economic, and social access to food and food stores is very limited. And it probably will stay limited because of the infeasibility that major supermarkets find in terms of opening stores in urban centers that have low income people. They have higher overhead, and it's a low margin business to begin with. So those are some of the reasons that are posited about why supermarkets will not open and provide that access that people really need, that would help them in the current food desert environment.
Yeah, and just a little bit of more context as well. Could you talk a little bit about Second Servings, what your mission is and what your organization is working to accomplish, and how that may relate to the issue of food deserts existing in the Houston area?
Yes, Second Servings strives to alleviate hunger and reduce waste in Houston by rescuing perfectly edible food and delivering it directly to local nonprofits. We work with over 400 food businesses that donate food on a regular or as needed basis, and we deliver it to 140 local nonprofits, including shelters, soup kitchens, food pantries, low-income housing, community centers, schools, and a variety of other locations. We are excited about the program that we developed last year called the Pop-Up Grocery Store Program, that brings the store to the low-income areas, community centers, and low-income housing. We bring the groceries that would otherwise go to waste, that are still perfectly delicious and attractive, and we bring them to those sites for the residents or community center visitors to shop and have a dignified, free shopping experience where they can choose whatever they want. Similar to what people outside of a food desert do. They choose their store, first of all, and then they choose the groceries. So we want people to have that same experience without the cumbersomeness of being in a store or having to go to a store out of their neighborhood. But we bring the store right to their building or community center nearby or church.
And do you do this like in a different place each time, or you have like a specific place you do that?
We do the pop-up grocery stores 40 times a month. That's about 2 every weekday. And we do it on a recurring monthly basis. So if you go to Hester House, for instance, on Friday, the following month, you can come again and take away probably between $60 and $150 worth of fresh groceries.
Great.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm sure the hackers will love to hear about that program specifically. Yeah, another question we had was, So yeah, from your perspective, can you think of, maybe other contributing factors that contribute towards the problem of food deserts in the Houston area that you think may be often overlooked? I know, personally, when I think about what could be contributing to a food desert, aside from what you mentioned earlier, something I think about is, access to transportation, or public transportation, or access to a car, things like that. But yeah, curious, from your perspective, are there any other contributing factors that you think may be overlooked when talking about this issue?
Well, transportation is very critical, and we are excited about the pop-up grocery store program for that perspective, because it eliminates the barriers to transportation by bringing it right to someone's apartment complex or high rise or community center where there may be some easy transport. But that does certainly contribute to accessibility to food that's healthy. We see a lot of struggling families. The parents are working long hours. The kids are at school, and there's no time to make extra trips, especially if you have to take 2 buses to get to a supermarket. How do you carry it all back too on those 2 buses? So it's really it's really tough to be poor in a city like Houston, because there are so many obstacles in the way. Time is one of them. Transportation is another, but overriding everything is economics. So those are the economic situation is such a massive problem that overrides everything.
And how big is your team? And then do you have like volunteers coming in and then helping with the with all these programs that you have?
We have a team of paid part-time drivers who are food safety certified. We have a team of 8, and we have a mini fleet of 5 refrigerated vans, soon to be 6. The office staff consists of a logistics manager, a food partnership manager, and a logistics assistant. So that, and I manage the operation in general. But it's a small but mighty team of employees, and we also have wonderful volunteers who have been with us perhaps since the beginning. We started operations in 2015, and we have a volunteer generally in the second seat of each van, helping the driver throughout the day. We also have volunteers who are collaborating with us through another organization that has developed a partnership with us to supply volunteers to certain pop-up grocery stores that need the support. So it's called the Food and Faith Collaborative, and they supply volunteers to about 6 of our pop-up grocery stores each month. And that's been a great addition, because it adds value to the property that's holding the pop-up and enables them to serve their constituents with better service, and makes it easier on them. So we love that collaboration, and we're all about collaboration. We try to connect the dots whenever we can. There may be 2 pantries within a 5-minute walk that don't know each other exists. So we tell them about them, because one pantry might have a pantry day twice a month. Another pantry may have on 2 other days of the month. And so we're all better together knowing about the other resources. So we try and connect whenever we can.
So it could be a good opportunity for our Houston-based hackers if they are looking to volunteer in solving the food desert problem in Houston that you're working on.
And it's really fun. It's hard to imagine the vast assortment and high quality and quantity of food that we bring to the pop-up grocery stores every day. It still amazes me. Yesterday, we had a $92 and 61 cent hunk of corned beef. We've gotten caviar. We've gotten escargot. And later today, we're picking up crab's legs. So, it's amazing how much food would go to waste if we weren't there. I hate to think about it, but there's a lot more food in need of rescue, and we certainly won't run out of people who need food assistance. So we're looking forward to the hackathoners being able to put some answers together, perhaps.
For sure.
Yeah, something that I'm curious about then, because I know in our past call we were talking about the idea of like food distribution as well, but do you have any idea why grocery stores will have so much, excess and, things that would go to waste? Why are they stocking that in the first place if it seems like a trend that food just ends up, going to waste, or, thankfully with an organization like Second Servings, making it out to other people. But, why is that food being stocked in the first place?
I would say the biggest reason is that the package dates confuse consumers, and they don't want to use products. The retailers don't want to sell products that are at or past the date on the package. Unfortunately, most consumers don't realize that there's only one item in the supermarket that's federally mandated to carry a date, and that's infant formula. The rest of the dates are generally an indication of best quality according to the manufacturer. It may be the crispest, or it may be the color or the flavor is judged to be opportune by the manufacturer. But in actuality, it does not indicate safety. And so 90% of Americans throw away food before it's actually unsafe to eat. And not only does that waste food, but it wastes money and water and precious resources that went into getting the food from the field to the plate. We waste over almost 40% of all the food that's produced in this country. And it's a global issue as well. So we're not alone, but the dates are a big indication of, are a big cause of the surplus, but it's also that prediction is not ideal. They don't predict 100% how much lettuce they're going to sell, and the new lettuce comes in every day, and they have to get rid of the old lettuce, but the old lettuce is still perfectly good. Yeah. So that is a cause of surplus as well. There's another reason. After Halloween, who wants little cookies that are shaped like goblins? No one. So that food is still perfectly good, but it's unseasonably unsaleable. So those are the three major reasons why surplus food occurs. And it's largely a function of those issues. And every supermarket has those issues primarily with the dates. So that's one of the reasons we are expanding our network to more supermarkets every week.
That's great. I was just so curious about how that happens in the first place. I guess, thinking about this hackathon and what our hackers are, going to be tackling and wanting to pursue, do you have any, I guess, recommendations either for the hackers to actually do, or just things that they can, think about, some context for them, some recommendations of, insights you would want to see, or, things that they can recommend, things that can be put in front of policymakers using data, really anything, pretty broad question, that the hackers may benefit from hearing.
One of the issues that we face in the Northeast quadrant and possibly in the Southeast quadrant is population density, and the fact that it's harder to reach people in those areas. There are fewer facilities, fewer pantries, fewer dollar stores. It's we haven't really studied the reasons for that development being what it is, but we know there's tremendous need amongst the population in those areas, the Northeast quadrant and the Southeast quadrant. Those are harder to reach people. I think there are more single family households, but there's a lot of industry that has encroached on or developed alongside residential areas, and those cause interruptions in transportation. For instance, rail lines, rail yards that have constant rail trains going through their area makes transportation more difficult, means that people aren't moving around as much. There may not be transportation access. It's I would look at population density. I would look at the presence of any food stores. There are a lot of dollar stores now that are carrying food that, in addition to corner grocery stores, convenience stores. So that's an opportunity for the hackers to provide input. Perhaps there's more development of dollar store type stores that could address the needs in those areas, or more pantries, or more community centers.
Yeah, but I mean, that's very helpful. Another thing that I was thinking about was one of the data sets that we are providing for our hackers is not just the grocery stores, but the retailers that accept, SNAP and EBT. What are your thoughts about, it's one thing to have grocery stores, develop and build out new locations in these areas where it's needed. But can you talk a little bit about the importance of having those food assistance programs and benefits be accepted in those retail locations as well?
Well, that's very important. And I know it's been an effort of many organizations to get people signing up for SNAP, because a lot of people may be eligible, but unaware or afraid or unable to, because of language barrier, to sign up. But that's an important benefit that can help people, especially families, young families, with their grocery products.